this is when all the conference season starts to really start. Right now, it's all conference games. You're playing interconference competition, and you saw it this past week in the SEC where it doesn't matter who's playing who, anybody can lose. Alabama went to Vandy and lost, right? Arkansas, were they at home?
Arkansas was
at Tennessee.
Home.
At
Arkansas
home.
was at home, yeah.
Yeah, so Arkansas at home against Tennessee beats Tennessee. Road games are tough, right? We talked about going on the road at South Carolina and winning. That was a tough game. You look at all these other games, they've all been tough. Kentucky almost beat Georgia on the road. So, at home. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes up. Big Ten's going to shake up. They're going to start cannibalizing each other. SEC obviously does that every year. More so this year. Texas, I think, is the only undefeated SEC team right now. They're about to get through the nuts and bolts of their schedule.
Who's the only
Texas?
SEC?
Texas?
No. A&M is too.
No, overall record.
Okay, I'm about to say they're
Yeah.
3-0
No,
in the SEC
overall
too.
record.
Okay,
Yeah.
They lost to Notre Dame?
They lost to Notre Dame. But overall record, not just in conference, but overall.
Yeah.
They're the last undefeated team. They're number one team in the country. Get Quinn Ewers back this week.
Interesting to see what they
Red
do with
River rivalry.
Shootout.
Red River, is it? Shootout? Red River shootout. This weekend.
You can't take that away from me. Especially with all the antics on the field. Everybody's shooting somebody out. Did you see the defensive end for South Carolina?
Dude, what is the deal with these gun celebrations?
I don't know.
South Carolina he murdered that guy.
I don't know.
Emptied the clip.
He shot him like 8 times.
Many men.
That thing was heavy too.
I mean, Jesus.
That thing was heavy.
Some nice recoil to that thing.
Jack Stark goes, he went on Twitter after he goes, miss me.
I mean, I just don't understand. You're going to get a penalty.
It's been a point of emphasis.
Why do we keep doing that?
Kyron Lacey was the first one that started this entire thing. Now you can't do it in the NFL at all. And now you have people brandishing weapons where they're like pulled the Glock
boys
out.
like playing Call of Duty, huh?
Yeah, good Lord.
I mean, I don't know why people keep doing it, but they do it.
It's my rights. 2A.
Yeah, and on the field, not the invisible gun, right?
It's not the last Boy Scout.
Can't happen. But the conference schedules are gonna shake some things up. LSU schedule obviously continues to get tougher. Starts with this weekend against Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss opens. I think it's already gone down, but I think they opened yesterday at what was it 3.5?
It is officially 3 right now.
Okay, I saw it at 2.5 just now.
I grabbed it at 3, just like right before the show.
But I think it was 3.5 that it opened up, correct?
I can check.
Do we know that off the top of our head? I'm looking for it too. I'm trying to, speak and search at the same time.
I got it. I'll be stat boy.
Stat boy. How about UL sneakily being 4-1? Look at that.
Would they take Billy back? Sneaky Billy. If Billy gets bowl eligible, he'll stay.
Oh, no doubt.
And because he's already been fired, is what people are saying.
If he's bowl eligible, he stays. Big Kansas State Colorado game. Wow. Where's the LSU game?
I've not seen it move.
There it is.
According to I'm on Action Network, but it is steady at 3 right now. So I went ahead and grabbed
3.
LSU at +3 just because. Over under 64.5.
Yeah, as of now.
Will it make it in the parlay? Stay tuned.
As of now, everything's on Ole Miss. Money and bets. As of now.
How quickly people change.
Oh,
Everybody was on South Carolina.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's get to the game this weekend, though. They obviously open the line opens as home dogs against Ole Miss. Ole Miss obviously bad showing against Kentucky, and rebound with a really good showing against South Carolina at South Carolina. Obviously, common opponent. To me, that doesn't really matter. It's just nice to talk about. They come into Baton Rouge, ranked above them, ranked in the top 10. How are we feeling about the game? Let's talk about it. Yeah, Jared does. I like it.
This will be interesting. Looking at him, watching him play, I think if you can kind of take out one and target the other on opposite ends of the football, I think you got a chance. If you can kind of take out, and we don't know how healthy he is and if he'll be playing, but if you can minimize what Trey Harris is able to do, you kind of bracket him, kind of beat him up at the line a little bit, maybe blanket someone over the top of him. He is, in my opinion, their offense. He has 50-plus catches already
55, you said, right?
53, 50, something like that. 50-plus catches already on the season, almost 1,000 yards already on the season. And through the 2 SEC games I've watched him play, there is a lot of free access, letting him run, letting him get into routes. They use him a lot in RPO stuff. So if he's one guy that you're going to let play like that, he'll have 10-plus catches again, and he will be the catalyst to their offense. But if you find a way, which an LSU team who's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, if you find a way to start getting into him and start putting hands on him and start being physical with him early, you can kind of make somebody else have to kind of step up a little bit. I want to see if that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, I would be attacking Trey Amos all day. Look, the kid's athletic. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but there is some discipline stuff that you can attack. There is some playing that you can kind of get into him a little bit. And I think if you do that, you got a good chance, because I do think they're not as physical as you think they are. They don't want to be as physical as you think they want to be. They want to finesse you. They want to run quick on you. They want to kind of run you out of the gym a little bit until they get inside the 5, and then they'll put their physical guy in.
Pegasus.
Like, they'll put him in. So at that point, that's completely different. But
Pegasus?
I think this is a weekend. This is an opportunity for LSU to come in and actually start getting some more national respect, because they really haven't gotten it. Let's be completely honest this year. I think if you show up this weekend and you do what you need to do, things could look different for you going forward.
I think, and we talked about this being a big game, right? I don't want to be, overstated, because it's not what I'm trying to do, but they haven't gotten a lot of national pub. And they haven't had a lot of national pub in a long time. Last year they got a little bit at the beginning of the season because of how good Jaden Daniels in the offense was, but their defense was god-awful, and that kind of went away pretty quickly as the season went on. Since 2019, LSU hasn't had a top 10 matchup in Tiger Stadium since 2019, right? That shows you that they haven't been very good or consistent in those 5 years since then, 5 years. And they have an opportunity right now to put themselves back in the middle of the national football conversation by being at home, beating an Ole Miss team that has a lot of hype behind it, and putting themselves right back in the middle of the college football conversation. The schedule is going to continue to get harder and harder as the season goes on, but this is a big game, not only for this year, but for the national landscape of college football. And I'm with you. I think that there is. 3 weeks ago, after we're watching LSU and all the stuff they're doing, you're like, damn, they got no shot. I feel like Ole Miss is going to come in here, and then all of a sudden LSU starts getting a little bit better. I'm saying not me, but that was kind of the conversation around everybody watching both teams. Like, damn, Ole Miss is blowing everybody out the water. LSU can't stop anybody. They can't even stop Nicholls State from scoring 21 points. The general public watching it without knowing what's going on, seeing it a few weeks ago, was like, I don't think LSU's got a shot. Then you kind of see LSU make some improvements. They go out there, they post a 0 on the scoreboard against UCLA in the second half. Wasn't a perfect game. Second half they look better. Then they go against South Alabama.
Play their most complete game.
That was probably their most complete game. So you feel like you start Kentucky and not do the things that they've been doing. And so then you're like, okay, you feel it. Then you watch them play against South Carolina. Yeah, they did beat them by a lot, but you really look deep into it. You're like, okay. You feel like you can compete with them athlete for athlete, and definitely offense for offense. And I think our defense is a lot better than they're going to give it credit for. And their offense isn't, I don't think, as good as they're getting credit for, right? They don't have their running back, right? Judkins is at Ohio State running everybody over.
He's not playing there.
Huh?
He's not even playing there.
I saw him last week. He was playing.
Did he play?
Aren't they splitting carries?
I think he's playing. He's not the feature back, but yeah, he's playing.
But in all of Lane Kiffin's offenses, he loves to have a guy in the backfield that can run when he needs to, right? He's had that with Judkins. They don't really have that this year. Jackson.
They got it. He's just not very physical.
Right.
It's a reincarnation of Dexter McCluster, basically.
Right.
They have it. They don't have that physical aspect to them on offense.
And they're
going to try to finesse you. They're
right.
going to try to outrun you. They're going to try to speed, snap everything quick. If you can kind of get them off that game, it makes it really tough for them to do what they want to do.
And Trey Harris obviously is the guy, right? He said 50-plus catches. If you slow him down or you make it difficult for Jackson Dart to get him the ball, you saw it last week. You saw it in a couple weeks. If you stop him, you have an opportunity for Jackson Dart maybe to hold on to the football just a little longer and the defensive line to get to him. LSU strength, defensive line, front seven. I like that matchup. I think that they can kind of wreck the game with some of those sacks and forcing, 3rd and 8s sacking them on 3rd and 8, making it, 4th and 15, getting the punt, or sack fumbles. Or, hey, 2nd and 6, they're going to try to do something in the passing game, boom, sack them. Now it's 3rd and 15, and be able to get them off the field that way. So I think LSU matches up pretty well with them. I'm pretty excited about it. Hot ticket. Like, impossible ticket right now. I've been trying to search for tickets for some buddies that are coming in, their wives, for a month. Nobody wants to come off their tickets.
LSU Ole Miss?
Pretty crazy.
This has been the game that's been
Pretty
circled
wild.
for the entire year, I would imagine. Even after the USC lost, I feel like everybody kind of fast-forwarded to...
As with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
I think
he could
he's
be
doing
lying.
this on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's giving too much comfort, too much information about the injury for me to think that it's... He comes out and he basically says, we don't really get into much detail on that. And he finished first half and wasn't close to coming in the second half. He certainly wouldn't be playing today. So we have to have other guys ready, and we have to perform better than we did in the second half when we scored 3 points. Now, we only threw one pass in the fourth quarter, blah, blah, blah. He basically is, we're preparing to play without him.
Yeah. I would be preparing to get you to try to game plan for anything else but the guy that I want to give the ball to.
Right,
exactly.
I'd be trying to do that too. So,
No doubt.
it makes sense.
So, for me, listening to that, I think he's playing. I think he's going to play, right? Is he going to be 100%? I don't know, but he's going to be good. He's going to be a factor. Got to stop him. That's the number one priority of the defense. Jared, you had some suggestions maybe, and not something that you want to throw out there, but if they can handle it, I think it could potentially be a good
I just mentioned him. I said if you can find ways to start bracketing him, blanketing him, getting in his face, kind of putting hands on him, not giving him free access off the line of scrimmage a little bit, that's going to be tough because if you can kind of start messing with the rhythm and the timing of Jackson Dart and him, because if you watch them play a little bit, Jackson Dart is not afraid to hitch one, hitch twice, and be still looking at him and not actually go through progressions. And then once he does that, his head's down, his eyes down, he tucks it and he runs a lot. If you can kind of start beating him up at the line and kind of getting him off a little bit, you got a chance because I do like our ability to run to the football, right, after in those situations, whereas I think this is a gettable team. They're not as good. When you get them on film and you look at the numbers that they put up this year and the scores that they put up this year, I'm not blown away as much as I am watching the film of what I see there. Like, to me, those two things don't match. And to me, that's what showed up when you played Kentucky. Like you said, right? They finally played a good team, a team that could kind of challenge them a little bit, and they couldn't even put 20 up on the board. So, a little bit of kind of marrying that thing. They go to South Carolina last week. They played a really good game. Hats off to them. You give them their respect, right? They went in there and they took care of business after getting their asses kicked last week at home. This is when it comes down to, hey, here's your real test right now. Because the last time you came here, you got run off the field. You got blown out. You didn't even score in the second half, right? So, that's another situation where you look, and I think this is a very good test, obviously, for LSU. But this is a chance to kind of put yourself on the map right here.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that if you look at what Kentucky did, right, you don't want to use that as a blueprint because every game is its own game. Like, every game's different. Every team has different personnel, different schemes, different, cultures, or, different identities as a team. But if you look at that game and you say, okay, what does Ole Miss do really well? Obviously, offensively, they want to go fast. They want to get you kind of discombobulated, and they want to move, stay ahead of the change, stay in rhythm, do those types of things. And then you look up in the end of the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, everybody's hands on the hips because they're exhausted, because they're running around like they're on a soccer field, right? And then Ole Miss just kind of takes the game away and just runs away with it. What Kentucky did was they didn't allow them to do that. They kept them behind the sticks. They didn't allow.
They
Ole
dictated
Miss,
the fight.
Exactly. They didn't allow Ole Miss to have the pace that they wanted, and it slowed it down, and Ole Miss doesn't do good with that.
Yeah.
Right? We saw that 2 years ago when they came in there, and they started off super fast, and you're like, oh, shit, this is not going to be good. And then LSU would calm them down, was able to score with them, got some stops, and then all of a sudden flipped it, and then
Harold Perkins.
Seemingly it's like one of those things where to be able to go fast, to be able to play with that kind of pace is great, but when that is your fastball, that's when it becomes tough. And I think that's where this Ole Miss team is where if they're able to play ahead of the chains, they're able to hit you with all these RPOs, they're able to get you on your heels a little bit, and they're able to get you tired. When it's not that, they don't have and they don't want to be able to have to play and kind of go in these third and longs and really have to start. And look, no one does. That's obvious. My point is I don't think they're great at it because I don't think the quarterback is going to go through the progressions. I don't think the other guys behind Trey Harris is really the guy. I don't think they have that in there.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's where this thing kind of becomes tricky for them. And I think when you get this team kind of punching in the mouth a little bit, they're not very good at responding back to it.
No doubt. And the secondary is our biggest question mark, right? That's what's going to happen? I think the front seven, the front four in particular, is going to be their best friend, hopefully, in this game as far as getting pressure, right? And if Jackson Dart wants to get the ball out quick, Jackson Dart's not a huge dude. We talked about it in the first game against USC, getting the hand up, maybe having some batted balls, tip some balls up in the air. They did it 2 or 3 times against USC first game of the season, and they probably almost had 2 interceptions because of it. I think they can kind of wreck some of the rhythm that way. And then, not letting a little Dexter McCluster clone kind of get going, right? And, it's not necessarily in between the tackles, but those little gimmicky run plays. You don't want to give them big chunk plays in that.
Well, he'll run between the tackles. He's got a little bit of they'll run with him like LSU has run with Caden Durham since he's been in. Yep. They'll do it. The thing is that body is not going to take the pounding. Right. He's not going to keep taking that. So that's the person you need to hit, and you need to make him feel it, and you need to make him do it, and you need to do it over and over and over again. And that just is what it is.
And over and over
what are your
and
thoughts,
over
Lloyd?
again. I have a question for you and you, both of you.
Okay.
Yes.
You saw the Kentucky game and how they kind of dictated the fight in terms of you're trying to play keep away from Ole Miss. You saw LSU last year against Ole Miss try to play a track meet and essentially you lost the 4x1,
right.
and you lost in the last 100 meters. Does LSU have the ability to kind of play keep away? Because Kentucky is built that way. I don't know if LSU was built to be.
You're on that, and I don't think that.
I know, but I want to be talked out of it.
Well, I did.
You don't need to play.
I don't think you have to play keep away with them. Like they're not playing keep away is with a team.
I've just seen it work.
My point is go look at LSU offensively this year and look at what they've done. They can play with anybody offensively. You don't need to play keep away from them, right? And I don't think that that's where they're going to be. This defense is not defense of last year. They're not the 100th worst defense in the country.
They're going to get some stops.
They're going to get some stops. They're going to make some plays. They're going to put some pressure on you. They're going to force you to do some things you don't want to do. I don't think this is a team that needs to quote-unquote play keep away. You need to play your game. And if you're able to play 4 quarters, much like you did against South Alabama, I think you're in a great spot against this club.
Because I do think LSU can be methodical without trying to play keep away with the decision
that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it hasn't been. It's going to lead me to my next question because the curious case of Chris Hilton pops up once again with the injury report. It says it feels like this is the game that's been circled.
And look, I will say this: if he doesn't play this game,
I don't think he'll play all year.
I don't know if he's going to play all year.
Circle Alabama.
No, I mean, he had a bye week, and I'm not saying he's not hurt. I'm just saying, if he doesn't play, it just seems like it's going to be more.
I don't at this point, without a tear, without a surgery, without a broken bone, I'm not exactly sure how you're still out at this point. I just don't. I don't. Really
and look,
know.
and if it's worse than
I
everybody
don't
thought,
know.
that's fine. I just don't.
My point is what would make it worse? Then
Right,
if there's no real tear, there's no what would make it worse?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know where to go with the conversation if he's not playing this.
And I do think the report kind of was probably misleading when you say bone bruise. It doesn't sound like a broken bone. It doesn't sound like an injury that people can really comp anything to. So if you don't feel 100%, and if Chris Hilton's one thing that he does extremely well, probably in the top 1%, is go fast. And if he doesn't feel like he can do that, then I'm going to hold myself out until I can do that because I don't want to re-injure myself. So I get it from that perspective. But at this point in the year, when it happened in camp.
But say I don't want to re-injure myself. At this point in the year, we're 6 weeks away.
Right.
From when you stopped being active, if you will. So what more time do we need? That's all.
Time heals all wounds.
I'm just asking. I don't really know. I don't know the injury. I don't know. We don't have enough information.
That's what I'm saying. I think
about
it was kind of I don't want to say misreported, but it felt like it was kind of a ho-hum bone bruise, and then it's lasted this long to where you never really got any injury updates on it after that. So that's why I think it's kind of painted in a negative light because we haven't gotten any update other than he's out.
Right.
And it keeps being probable.
And look, okay, so what was your question? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I wonder if that changes the way LSU plays a little bit, where you feel like as Nussmeier has been able to kind of dink and dunk and been very efficient, If it's that one element where you're like, okay, this is changing the way LSU wants to play football.
I don't think it changed the way they want to play. I just think it gives them an added dimension.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to say, oh, we got him in there, and now all of a sudden we're just going to start throwing the ball deep. No. I think now you just have that added bonus to the offense that's already been efficient.
I do think if he's in there, though, he opens up a ton of
sure.
these end cuts and these over routes and all that stuff. I think a lot of that stuff will start opening up even more. And hopefully you can start using him not just on that, but some of these like crossing routes in these man situations and allowing him to run and circle the field. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these intermediate throws in my opinion that starts to open up if you bring him back into the fold.
I mean, people forget he was ranked above both Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors in the recruiting class. Like, he was the 5-star wide receiver in that class.
Look, nobody's doubting his ability.
No, but